My name is Mehana Kihoi. I am not a land use expert. I am not an urban developer. I am not a hydrologist. I am not an archaeologist. I am not an anthropologist. I am not a scientist. I am not an astronomer. I am not a botanist. And I am not a professor of any subject. Now that that has been said, ano ai me ke aloha nui no kākou, o wau mehana kihoi no kona mai au. Mahalo ke akua, mahalo na kini akua, mahalo na auma akua, mahalo in akupuna. No ka lawe ana mai ia'u ma'ane I ke iala. Mahalo na kia I mauna, na ohana aloha aina. Me ke aloha palena ole. I am a native Hawaiian. Mauna Loa is my mountain. Puhonua o Honaunau are my waters. And Konahemla is the land that raised me. I was born and raised on Hawaii Island. Honaunau is my home. And my ancestral ties to this island expand from Opihale, South Kona, to Kohala, and on to Waimea. I am the daughter of Harvey Keli Okamalulo and Sarah Puo'ola Kihoi. I was guided here today to stand for a mountain, the tallest mountain in the world from the seafloor, Mauna Awakea. I was guided by my kupuna to stand for this mountain that is sacred. The mountain where when I am on the summit, they see and hear me the most clear. I am a native Hawaiian beneficiary of the Public Land Trust. I am in strong opposition of the 30-meter telescope. And if this telescope project proceeds, my daughter and I will suffer from an irreparable injury because of our significant cultural, physical, and spiritual ties to this mountain. I am a victim of domestic violence, and I have shared that story here. And it's a story that I have never shared in a setting so public before. When I was 19 years old, I was violently attacked with my 7-month-old baby in my arms. 5 parts of my face were broken. I lost so much blood, I could have died. The blows and kicks to my face were just inches away from my baby. She could have died. I was prescribed many different painkillers and referred to many different types of Western therapy and rehabilitation, all which I refused. For years I carried grief and pain, never having any way of releasing this hurt, until I went to the Mauna. I come from a family of Paniolo from Waimea, cowboys who honored this mountain so deeply. They referred to her as Mama Nui, or Big Mama, as told to me by my mother. My great-great-grandmother was Kaniu Purdy, sister of Waimea's famous cowboy, Ikua. I was raised with an unspoken understanding that you do not go to Mauna Kea for just any reason. Mauna Kea, as I understood throughout my entire life, was kapu. My first trip up to the summit of Mauna Kea was in 2012, and from then my life has never been the same. Something happened to me that I could never explain. The heaviness that had settled over me for so long was lifting. This is a timeline of events that led me to be here today. 2 months after my first trip to the summit, I saw a flyer on Facebook saying that an 18-story telescope was proposed to be built on the summit of Mauna Kea. And at that time, I didn't know much, but I knew that an 18-story structure of any kind did not belong on the top of a mountain. So I took my daughter, who was 9 years old at the time, and we packed our pahujam into the car and went. 15 months later, October 7th, 2014. This is where I would have to make a number of choices that would have changed my life forever. First, while in ceremony at Pu'uhuluhulu, I would have to make the choice whether or not I was going to stay there in the prayer circle or if I was going to go up to Hale Pohaku. I went up to Hale Pohaku. At Hale Pohaku, I would have to make the choice on whether or not I was going to go up to the summit. I went up to the summit. At the summit, I would have to make the choice on whether or not I was going to go to the proposed site. I went to the site. My second time ever being there on the summit of Mauna Kea, walking with two OPO from Miloli'i who had never been to the summit of Mauna Kea before. And we walked and walked onto the proposed site. There were many of us there. We stood at this site, we chanted, we sang. The Mauna had called us home. 6 months later, April 2nd, 2015, on this day, I felt the most trauma I had ever felt in my life. As a victim of domestic violence, nothing could have prepared me for what I would feel that day. Armed men surrounded me while I was in Pule, at a place that for my entire life I had so much reverence for, and that had given me so much healing. That day it turned into a place of hurt, pain, and fear. Feelings that I had been so familiar with, feelings that my daughter had been so familiar with, had returned. My daughter watched as her mother, father, the midwife who helped bring her into this world, aunties and uncles who she loved and adored, were criminalized for praying and chanting at their highest temple and ancestral homelands. 2 months later, June 24th, 2015, I was asked to be an alaka'i of a line. Line 3. I accepted the kuleana, and I didn't know what was going to happen that day or what I was going to do, but I knew that I wanted to stand with a line of wahine, a line of women, mothers, grandmothers, carriers of the sacred waters of the womb. With these words, we called out for guidance and protection of the female deities of the Mauna, the protectors of the most sacred waters on this earth. O wahimai o poliahu, o wahimai o lilinoi, o wahimai o lihau, o wahimai o mo'oinanea, o wahimai o waiau. 1 month later, July 16th, 2015, we were in ceremony on this day with a group of Maoris from Aotearoa. And we're also a part of organizing an aligned prayer for Mauna Kea with our friends Hano and Maile Naehu from Molokai. Hano and Maile were in Rapa Nui, or Easter Island at that time. They had family in Aotearoa at that time, and we were on Mauna Kea. At 1 p.m. Hawaii time, there was a kani of the pū on Mauna Kea, on Rapa Nui, on Aotearoa. And at that moment, we all prayed for the protection of our Mauna. All points of the Polynesian Triangle were aligned, and in collective prayer for the highest mountain, the highest point, and the highest temple in all of Polynesia, Mauna Kea. The next day, early in the morning, as we all slept, it snowed. On July 17th, in the middle of summer, Poliahu had come home. And though it was just a dusting of snow on the highest parts of the summit, we knew it was a message and a response from our kupuna. They heard our prayers. These are just a few very significant times that have led and guided me to be here today. But the main reason I'm here is for my daughter. Kalia Kalaula Ika Ilikai. We have been on this journey of healing together every step of the way. And she has been a part of this case just as much as I have. So I have some statements from her that I'm going to share also. This picture was taken outside of the county offices in Hilo at the last BLNR contested case hearing in February 2013. Her written statement reads, "In this picture, I was 9 years old, and I wasn't as connected to Mauna Kea as I am today. I remember feeling happy because we had so many people supporting us and everyone came together. But when it came towards when we entered the courtroom, I felt my heart beating. I remember seeing Kapule crying. I remember hearing us chanting, and I also remember seeing the TMT people. This left an impact on me because from this day forward, I experienced how significant and important Mauna Kea is to us. I shall never forget that." This picture was taken at the proposed TMT site, April 2nd, 2015. My daughter to the left, myself, her mother, her father, Elston, and Claire Loprinzi, the midwife who helped bring her into this world, and numerous aunties and uncles whom she loves and adores. Her written statement reads, "In this picture, I was 11 years old, and my mom went up to the TMT proposed site along with other Aloha Aina warriors. I remember walking up with Pono, Le Makamai, and Kalamaku to the site. I remember seeing my mom locked arms with everyone beside her and didn't say a word. She showed a serious and strong ano. This was a very intense time for me that took place because I remember seeing the DLNR officers approaching my mom, which left me in tears. I felt very hurt because I didn't want my mom to be arrested and taken away. This picture was taken on the access road right above Halepohaku, June 24th, 2015. I remember walking up after my line had dispersed, my line, line 3, and seeing my daughter in her OPO line, line 8. I could see the eha and hurt all over her face. And as a mother, I immediately wanted to take her out of line and continue walking up because I knew things were getting very heavy and emotions were rising all around us. I approached her and said, "Tali, let's go up. Let's keep walking. Things are starting to get really eha." And even though she had hurt and pain all over her little face, she said, "No, Mom. I want to stay with my line. I'm okay, Mom." And though I wanted so badly to take her out, I knew that she had her right to be there. She had her right to chant. She had her right to pray. As a Keikioka Aina, she had the right to protect her land. And as a mother, I knew that she was safe. She was standing with my tita Ili Malong, who I deeply trust and respect, who on that day looked after her like she was a daughter. Her friends became her brothers and sisters. People she had never met before that day were aunties and uncles. As I look at this picture of my daughter in her Mickey Mouse sweatshirt that we got from Disneyland, there is a hand on her shoulder, comforting her, letting her know that they are there, watching over her. And they're right there behind her,
I don't even know whose hand that is, but I'm so thankful for that hand. Her written statement reads, in this picture, it was the second time of arrest on Mauna Kea. I was in the 8th line with a few of my friends from school and aunties. That day, 1,000 people stood with us. I remember chanting Malana Mai Ka'u with pride. But I also remember crying, because that day, I felt the same emotions I felt when I seen my mom getting arrested. I felt pain, and I could hear people screaming out, "Awe!" But what's important about this event is that even though I was hurt and was crying, I still chanted. I kept going, even when it hurt me.
Ms. Kihoi, could you... Sure, okay.
This picture was taken outside of the Naniloa Crown Room on January 24th, 2017, my birthday, when my family surprised me by taking the day off from work and school to support me at the hearing. Her written statement reads, 4 years later, and I have seen the many sacrifices my mom and aunties and uncles have to make to protect our Aina. I feel that when they are protecting the Aina, they are protecting me. And if TMT were to be built, the life of the land would be destroyed. And I would feel destroyed. I hope that others will see how special Mauna Kea is and that she should be protected. This picture is a reminder for not only me, but for you to never give up for what you believe is pono. And protecting our Mauna is what is pono. I live a very simple life. I'm a breakfast waitress at a restaurant in Kona, and I love my job. They accommodate my schedule, which allows me to be here, and which allows me to have a job when I'm not here. I never thought I'd be here today. And what a privilege and honor it is to stand amongst the bravest and most courageous individuals I have ever met in my life. My grandchildren will know all of your names. I'm not a lawyer. I have no background in the legal system. And I'm not giving any legal opinions on what I say here today. I'm a native Hawaiian. I'm a mother. And I am a descendant of a beautiful people who love their land. I am just trying my best to assert my rights in a process that was not meant for people like me to be successful in. I stand today so that my daughter knows that no matter how inexperienced or incapable she may feel, against high-paid lawyers with unlimited resources, she still has the right to stand. I stand here today so that my daughter knows that no matter the financial burden that a process like this may put us through, that we will stand. Because money is just temporary, and our Aina is forever. I stand today with hopes that one day my daughter may not have to. I'm the great-granddaughter of Eliza Laulani Koki of Kohala, who signed the Ku'e petition supporting our beloved Queen Liliuokalani when she was 24 years old. I stand for this mountain because when I place my bare hands into her soil and feel that warmth, I can feel her heart. And when I'm on the Mauna sleeping in my car at 2 o'clock in the morning, and her breath comes down and sits on my bones. I know she is alive. So until the day that I become the dust that sits beside her, I will stand kukia'i mauna till my last breath. Mahalo.
And thank you very much, Ms. Kihoi. Ms. Pishota?